This is your assignment sheet. This is the essay we're going to be doing for the Unit 1. As you can see, there is a grading rubric at the end of it. I'm not going to go over all of that in this video because it's a whole lot, but this is going to tell you the kinds of things I'm looking for a solid essay and what each level of the essay would entail. So this paper is called The Place I'm In. One of the major ways in which we share ideas and build understanding is by telling stories. You will write a 2 to 2.5 page narrative essay about your favorite place and something important that you experienced there. The purpose of this assignment is to demonstrate mastery of the key writing skills we've learned in this unit: academic writing, analytical writing, and narrative. This assignment is a summative assessment that shows your progress in the course of this point. Your audience, you're going to choose your audience for this narrative essay. Have somebody in mind, and it's your responsibility to decide what audience or context you're addressing and what your purpose is for addressing them. And when we're talking about purpose, we mean, what is the purpose for your writing about this place and this experience that you had? What do you want your audience to take away about the place and experience from your story? For audience, if you're not sure how to visualize an audience or who you would want to write to, visualize your classmates and myself as your audience. So your peers and your teacher. Never just visualize me as the audience, because I don't want you just writing to make me happy or things you think that I want to hear. I want you to write with an awareness of the fact that you're communicating, and that very rarely after you get out of school will you be communicating with a teacher in this manner, but you will be communicating with the colleagues and people at work and friends and families and other things. So that's, who are those other people in your life? Well, for this purpose, classmates. So if you're not sure about an audience, go with classmates, and then me secondarily. Okay. So your strategies to write this paper: you're going to define your audience and what you want to accomplish with the audience. That's your purpose. Brainstorm a list of, so put the place that you're writing on a piece of paper, like write it down, and brainstorm a list of possible stories you could use to illustrate how great that place is, or what kind of experiences you've had there. As many as you can. These are not all going to go in your narrative. Your narrative should not be a long list of like mini episodic things. It should be one strong, compelling event that took place, or thing that you experienced. And you're going to decide. You're going to look at your brainstorming. You're going to choose which one's going to be the most effective for the audience you're trying to reach. And I want you to think about these things. Ethos is ethical connection. So what that basically means is, can we, the audience, trust you to be a reliable narrator of your experiences and a reliable narrator of that place? Lots of details in your essay will establish this. Pathos is an emotional connection. Are you tugging at our heartstrings? Are you reaching us emotionally so we are invested in your story? Imagery, metaphors, imagery and metaphors are ways to develop emotional connection. And then logos, which is your mental connection. Does your story make sense? Is it coherent? Does it have a beginning, a middle, and end? Do you give me an idea at the end of the story what the whole point was of it? Because I need that. That all makes sense. That's all logical mental stuff. Okay, after you've got that, go ahead and outline your story and just kind of figure out, all right, get the details down and decide which ones you need to include. It's always better to cut back than to have to generate more in the middle of your essay. And the big thing is, when you're choosing those details, make sure they achieve your writing purpose. Make sure they add to your narrative and that they convey whatever it is you're trying to say about your favorite place and that experience there. And then after you're done with that, outline the conclusion, which is going to be the last part of it. This is like the part you're probably going to have to explain to the audience so they can have some understanding of why you told the story to begin with. And after you've figured all of that out, you're ready to draft it, revise it, edit, and proofread. So write the story, then subject it to some revisions to improve it. Make sure that you've edited it so that the content flows well. Make sure you've proofread it so the grammar, spelling, and punctuation are good. And in your language, guys, be sure to use vivid language that shows me your story instead of just like telling me about your story. Like instead of saying the attic was a bad place, you could say that the attic felt dark and cold and evil. Dark, cold, and evil is a whole lot more vivid than just bad. Or let's say you want to talk about the sad barkeeper at your favorite dive bar. You could say that the barkeeper was sad, or you could say the barkeeper was morose, and he used a tired yet careful manner in washing the glasses that the patrons had left on the counter. Morose tells us a lot more than merely sad does, and the way he's doing things tells us more than you just saying he's sad, okay? So when we're talking about vivid language, guys, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. You will get feedback on this from your peers and from myself. Okay, your criteria for success is you got to have a clearly articulated main idea, thesis statement. Now, you're like, but it's a narrative. Why do I need a thesis statement? Because honestly, telling a story is you arguing I should continue listening to your story. And for this purpose, it's the main point of that you're making in the paper. You should go ahead and state that up front. State it up front in the first intro paragraph, like towards the end of it. Should be the last sentence in your first paragraph. That's where I'm going to look for it. Basically, give me an idea of why I'm going to read this before I start reading it. And then at the end, you're going to tell me exactly what I need to take away from it. But you got to have something in that intro paragraph that sets me up to follow what you're putting down. Okay, have a title. If you're in MLA format, means a title. You have a title. It's centered on it's centered on the first line or the second line below the header. Okay. Always refer to writers by their last names. Don't use titles. So Hampton, not Fred or Mr. Hampton. If you're going to cite sources, which I don't know why you would cite sources for a personal narrative, but I mean, you never know. In case you do, check out Purdue Al and how to cite things. Okay, paragraph and paper length. Your paragraphs need to be at least 4 sentences long, or they're underdeveloped. And your paper needs to be at least 2 pages long, or it's not sufficiently developed. So paragraphs are at least 4 sentences long. The essay needs to be at least 2 full pages long. And I will take off points for 2-sentence paragraphs and 1-page essays. And of course, the papers must be typed, proofread, and spell checked and correctly formatted. This is a sample MLA paper, and I want you to take a look at the way it's formatted because this is what your paper should look like for this class. All right, so caveats. Students who don't submit a rough draft, I'm just going to take the dates out. If you don't submit a rough draft, will not have the opportunity to receive paper credit. So basically, we're going to do some peer editing with this. Show up to class with your paper, print it out, and ready to go. Because if you don't, I'm not taking your final draft. You need to learn a writing process that is not, I'm going to write this in the 3 hours before class, or I'm going to stay up the night before and try to write a paper. Because that is a bad habit. That's not a process. We're trying to get rid of that. Now, final drafts that are submitted after the deadline of the 20 seconds are going to be downgraded 5% per day that the draft is submitted late. If you turn the paper in 4 days late, the highest grade you'd be able to get is an 80%. Now, if you don't do well on the assignment, you can use my feedback to revise your paper and resubmit it for a grade of up to 90%. Revised papers are due no later than November 30th. All right. And then again, here we go. This is our rubric. This rubric tells you what I'm looking for generally in a narrative. This is what a narrative has. This is what a B narrative has. This is what a C narrative has. Choose what you're going for and then go for it. Okay, guys, this is the assignment we're doing, and I look forward to reading your narratives.